Welcome to the Intoxicated Podcast, a weekly comedy talk show that dives into the personal lives of comedians, experts, and creators. I'm your host, Sarah McClellan, a very amateur stand-up comedian and self-proclaimed sad girl. It's the comedy podcast with a lot of heart. Feel hard and talk hard. This is the Intoxicated Podcast. Well, everybody, welcome back to the Intoxicated Podcast. It has been a hot minute. Well, a week. 2 weeks.
Has been a hot 2 weeks. But a cold 2 weeks because it's wintertime.
Cold and rainy and gross and terrible. All of those things.
But a hot minute. You know?
Sure. Sure. Welcome back, everybody. And this intro is a special one because it is your birthday on the day that this comes out.
Happy birthday, me.
I'm not going to sing. Sorry.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to producer Sarah.
Thanks.
How does it feel to be, how old are you?
I'm 52.
But how old are you really?
32.
32.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? I mean, we're recording this a couple days away from your birthday, but this is coming out on your birthday. So how are you feeling at this age now?
I'm sure I'm fine because I'm with my mom right now and we're probably eating tacos. Yeah, so
because I did notice, and I always make note when this happens because I go, uh-oh. Is the girl going through something when she changes her profile picture to a picture from 7 years ago?
Was it 7 years ago?
Well, I think it was around 6 or 7 years ago. It was like 2016 or something around there.
I just really liked my makeup.
I was like, you look really young. Like at first I didn't recognize you. I was like, holy shit. No,
I just like my makeup.
It was really cute. You should recreate it on your.
I don't know how to do my makeup like that.
I could try to do your makeup.
I know how to like contour like that now.
I know the only time that I did your makeup was for Halloween, but I could try to do it better.
Yeah.
I
want like your
winged.
Because I
could try it. We could
my eyes are really weird where they're like hooded and.
My only concern is we don't have a day to test it. Like if I could do a test demo, unless you want to stick around after this and I can try. Because I'd be worried to fuck your makeup up on your birthday night.
There's makeup wipes, man.
That's true.
I'm not concerned.
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Do you ever wear foundation or no?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, when I go out and stuff.
So bring all your shit.
Yeah.
And I'll bring some stuff.
Because I can like I said, I can contour my face pretty fine. But it's just like my eye makeup.
We're going to hoe you up.
I can't. Yes. I need to be a hoe.
We're going to hoe you up. Well, happy birthday.
Thanks.
And welcome to the... Well, you've been in your 30s for a bit. But
for 2 years.
You made it another year, baby.
Yay.
You did it.
I feel like turning 30 is weird because I turned 30 during a pandemic, like in 2020.
It's a weird,
so I haven't
marker of the era. So that your 30s started in a pandemic.
I feel like I haven't been able to celebrate my 30s the way I want to, if that makes any sense. Like I wanted to go on a trip and I wanted to go to Disneyland.
You've lots left of your 30s though.
No, I'm getting old, man.
But just do the thing that all white women do when they're struggling with age. Just go, 32 is the new 22. 35 is the new 25. That's how I'm going to live my life on my birthday. I'm going to pretend that I'm 25.
35 is the new 25. So, or just change your profile pic to when you were 26.
I had to ask because that's exactly what I do when I'm like longing for youth as I go back through old pictures.
I was just like, my makeup looks great. And then I didn't realize it was 5 years ago. So I'm going to have to change that. Everyone's going to be like, why did she age?
I think it's fine.
Okay. Well,
you do you. Just don't put on a dating app or something.
This is me at 26. I can't show you who I am now.
Yeah. Exactly. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, we're back on the podcast and I actually have a voicemail this week to play from someone who sent in a voicemail before. He is a longtime listener, I guess second time caller in this case. So we have a voicemail from Mr. Jim Temple. Are we ready?
I've been ready.
You were born ready?
I was born ready.
I listened to this once and I almost forget what it is. So here we go. Jim Temple.
Hey, Sarah's Jim here. Big fan of the podcast. Huge fan of the podcast, really. So much so that my wife gets a little bit jealous sometimes. My wife, but she left me recently, and I'm doing the whole rigmarole. I'm trying to get her back, right? I know she's a big fan of Polysporn and their products. I'm looking online right now at some of their, they got the Polysporn Complete ointment, 3 antibiotics in one. She's also a big fan of the original ointment, the 2 antibiotics with the vitamin E enriched ointment. They got the ear infection juice. I might even get her some of the kids' cream, not the ointment, the kids' cream. Gosh, I'm looking on Amazon. Some of these prices, $35, right? For the whole to get it to your doorstep. And she was the breadwinner in the family, if I'm being quite honest. So it's making me wonder. I got a question for you. How do you know when it's worth it to try and get someone back? Anyways, keep making that great content.
I love voicemails like that. They give me so much life.
What a wild ride. I was hoping that he was going to ask our hot takes on creams and stuff. Cause I've gone down that road many times. I've had many things that I've needed multiple creams for, including yeast infections and stuff.
Yeast infections?
Yeah.
Do you know that I got yeast infections on my body?
You can get them anywhere.
That's insane.
You can get them anywhere.
I had to get an ointment for that.
Let's normalize yeast infections
on your feet, on your breasts, on your everything.
So what was the question? It was how do you know
if it's worth it to win someone back?
To win someone back.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
How do you know when it's worth it to win someone back?
I think if she has a laundry list of creams that she likes and high expectations for stuff like that, maybe not.
I think that
might not be
if
worth
she's
it.
into Polysporn, probably not, because Polysporn is so 1990.
Is there a modern version?
Polyesque?
Is that a thing?
No.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think nowadays the kids just call it Poly.
Listen,
and it's still an ointment that you use for your wounds.
What's that old phrase? I think it's in many songs. If you lose something you love and it comes back, it's yours. Is that the phrase?
Oh, I think it's if you let something go and it comes back at yours.
There it is. If you let something go and it comes back.
But
which I think
that's a sham, yo.
Sounds kind of rapey. Oh my God, that's just like my joke, except it's another kind of aspect of it. That's just, you're just being very, you gotta ask for consent to come back. You can't just come back. No.
Plus,
that's a problematic phrase.
If I let my bird go, that bird's not coming back,
I think,
how do you know?
Yeah. Wait, what is the actual phrase? Because I feel like
if you love something, set it free. If it comes back, it's yours.
Is it not? Is there a song that phrase is in? There's a popular song.
If you love me, let me go. That's Panic at Disco.
If it comes back, it's yours. That's how you know. What song is that?
I think you're just freestyling.
No. If it comes, hang on. This is Now I'm on a Train. What a Girl Wants by Christina Aguilera, bitches.
What part of the song is that in?
That is, let me see. Let me just find it here.
I only know what a girl wants, what a girl needs.
See. There was a time I was blind. I was so confused.
Oh,
Run away just to hide it all from you.
Yeah,
but
girl.
Baby, you knew me better.
Oh.
Than I knew myself. Ooh.
I want to thank you. That's the same song. For giving me the time to breathe.
They say if you love something, let it go. If it comes back, it's yours. That's how you know.
It's free.
Christina Aguilera said it, everybody.
Did she, though? Still skeptical. I still don't believe it. All right.
You know what? If you really love someone, try once, I think. Try once to get them back and then stop. But I think if you don't try,
you'll never know.
Number one, you'll never know, but you'll always want to have tried.
Yeah.
You know?
think you should give someone, well, depending on the situation, a second chance. Because you just never know. Sometimes it's just not right timing. Sometimes
No third chances.
No third chances. No fourth chances. We're over that. It's 2022. We're not doing that no more.
We are not doing that anymore.
So, yeah. When do you know that it's worth it? You just know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We hope that helped, Jim.
And I hope that you keep on using Polysporin even though it's so 1990.
And now, anytime I need Polysporin or any type of antibiotic cream, for whatever reason, anything, doesn't have to be yeast. I'm going to double check Amazon for prices.
That's probably a good idea. Or you can ask Jim's wife.
Get me her info,
She
bitch.
probably has all the hot deals.
Yes. My Lord. You can send in your voicemails. You can also fill out the anonymous form. Ooh, maybe we should check that really quick.
Oh, yeah. We have one of those.
We have one of those. We have an anonymous form where you can type and write your question, rant, story, whatever. And you can be anonymous or you can be named if you just didn't want to leave a voicemail. It is up to you, but it is another...
You do you, boo.
It's another option for you. Let me see just quickly if anyone left one. Oh my God. You can't write this shit. Literally a new submission. So we have to tackle this now, I guess.
Oh no.
What do you think about this whole Spotify, Rogan /COVID /Young /Mitchell thing? I don't know the Young and Mitchell thing. Oh, Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. Oh, I got you.
I was like,
I got you. What are my thoughts? Okay. It's going to be hard for me to articulate my thoughts in a short period of time. Okay. Sarah, we're not going to get canceled. We're not going to get canceled on episode 223. We're going to phrase things. Very ma'am. Sarah's looking at me panicked. Please say this right.
I do not agree with anything you're about to say.
All right, anything I'm about to say is not necessarily producer Sarah's thoughts. They're more my thoughts. I think if you very personally feel better leaving a platform because that's how strongly you feel about someone you hate, do it. I don't think of all people in the world deplatforming or removing if Spotify kicked Rogan off Spotify, he just find another platform.
Exactly. Yeah. He's like, I don't need you, Spotify. You need me. So
his insane reach is enough to keep him floating.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to hold Spotify accountable for I'm keeping my podcast on Spotify. I just am. As for anyone who wants to remove themselves, you do you, boo-boo.
You do whatever you need to do out there.
You do you, boo-boo. I would encourage people to listen to both apology videos he did in full. Listen to them all and listen to what he's saying. Because anyone who hates him, people really love to hate Joe Rogan. They really
it's their favorite
really
pastime.
love to hate him. And then there's idiots that love him so much that it's also insane.
It's really one way or the other for him.
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of people in the middle, and
really?
I think a lot of listeners would be in the middle. Sam Harris did a really good, one of his podcasts talking all about this, everything about it. And he was talking about specifically his apologies, Joe Rogan's apologies, and how they were as good as any apology could get. Because number one, he admitted accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, he said, what can I do to improve? Okay, so I will have more different experts on. I will be more well-researched going into these podcasts. Because he wasn't. And he admitted to not being well-researched when recording. I mean, the guy does picture what we do with Intoxicated, but 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Or 3 or 4 times a week.
Plus he does 3 to 4 hour episodes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane. So he admitted, I'm not always prepared going into these things. And these long conversations don't always allow for like the most eloquent, thought out answers.
Well, yeah.
So I thought, yeah, that first apology video was a good one. I totally get people. I get that people who hate him are just going to hate him. And there's nothing that can be done to change anyone's mind. In which case, you do you. Don't delete your Spotify. Don't listen to him. Move on. You know, like
Move
you have
on. That's
full,
an option, bro.
you have full capability of just going, I don't like Joe Rogan. I'm not going to listen. And if you want to save the $10 a month and get off Spotify, do it. If that makes you feel happy. The second one, do you know all about the second apology? Oh, okay.
What's he apologizing for?
So now that there's a headhunt for him, Joe Rogan,
yeah,
everyone wants to just try to get him deplatformed.
Okay, yeah.
A compilation video came out of him essentially all the times he said the N-word on his podcast, which were all from like a long time ago. I mean, his podcast has been around. Jesus Christ. I don't know when it started. At least 12 years ago, if not more.
Yeah.
And did a compilation video, and that second apology video, again, accountability. He also said that a lot of the time, and this is not an excuse, but he said a lot of the times that he said it, he was talking about the word, not saying the word. Totally. And this is why I'm saying it's not an excuse. But what I am saying, it was a different time.
That's true, yeah.
So we have to put everything in context of things have changed and language has changed. And now, in this current moment, he is recognizing, even in context, that was wrong of me to say. Even if you did listen to the full episode, he admitted that. He's like, yeah, even in context, it was bad.
Oh.
But again, accountability. Yeah. This is my thing about, I feel like people who are truly racist, truly in it to say literally white people are better than black people. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would not take accountability and would not be as sincere and honest in their apology. So that's just something to think about. And that's just my opinion. Those are kind of my thoughts. He's going to recover from this.
He'll be fine.
I'm still going to listen to him.
Joe Rogan doesn't get canceled if he hasn't got canceled yet.
And if you're going to come for me because I listen to the top podcaster in the world, you have to realize that this is what I want for a career. So I can't do this as a career and not at least sort of be educated on what he does, or appreciate it to some level. Because another good point a lot of people made was he is actually doing a better job at trying to, what's the word that I'm looking for? Fox News, for example, they have an agenda.
Yeah.
They only show one side most times, or they sway it in their direction.
Yeah.
Rogan, on the other hand, has scientists on from all different areas.
Yeah.
And 3-hour conversations that are, here you go. This is it. Which is almost better than what the news is doing. And it's a lot of the reasons why people take his stuff so seriously.
Yeah.
Which there's a downside to that, of course. But that's why they do it, right? Because he has such an array of guests and sides that are not always his side. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody can be in a conversation and be curious and ask legit questions without letting their personal bias come in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I really popped off, but
but you got through it.
I just had to.
I'm so proud of you.
And I'm disappointed in the compilation. I'm disappointed in that side of things. But like I said, he apologized. I liked his apology. I thought it was very human. I think as humans, we have to allow people to fuck up and change.
But that's the thing.
As long as there's accountability.
Yeah, people don't allow people to fuck up these days. Even if they don't have accountability, which is so frustrating. It's just like, do you ever fuck up, sir?
And that's the thing, right? The thing is, if you thought about the worst thing you've ever done in your life, the thing in your life that's like, I was my ugliest self in this moment. Imagine if that got exposed to all the people you love and the world.
Yeah.
You would have to then come forward and go, whoops, I was a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I was not
my best self.
I was not my best self, and you'd have to
I
take
fucked
accountability and have a plan to get better.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what he did
Yeah.
in his apologies. And we will see if he
Follows through.
with that.
It's one thing to say it, but yeah.
One thing to say it, and I'm curious, me personally, I'm curious to see how he changes going forward, if it's going to affect his cadence, if it's going to affect stuff. So I'm curious to see. Let's see what you got, Rogan. Let's see what you got. But I really popped off. But thanks for the question. I'm actually kind of honored that someone asked me that.
Yeah.
Because I did want to talk about it, but I wasn't sure when or how.
Well, here we are, winning and howling. So
Record scratch. I have another point to add. Any comics coming out making fun of or being wildly against what's happening would 100% do his podcast if they got asked. So I'm just saying.
Very true.
I'm just saying.
Correct.
And that's all I'll say on that.
And we're ending for real this time.
All right. Well, I mean, we're going to get into this week's episode.
Yeah.
This week we have a guest who's been doing comedy for over 20 years, which is crazy. And so it was a dang honor to have an award-winning comedian, very, very funny, Mr. Peter Anthony on the podcast. Now, I don't actually know him that well when I asked him to come on. I had only met him a couple times, seen him do stand-up a couple times as well. But I knew I wanted to talk to him. I was very intrigued.
Yeah.
And he came on the podcast right before doing Yuck Yucks, which was phenomenal, by the way. He totally killed. I mean, he won't think he killed, but I think he killed.
Compared to what he's used to, yeah.
Yeah. Compared to what he's used to and his expectations. But I will say I very much so enjoyed the show, and it was a really cool experience. And I actually got to sit kind of in the crowd to watch it because Francois moved. We were sitting by backstage, but where you can see the stage.
Yeah.
And really only one or two people can see well there, and the rest just kind of listen. And
an audio.
I always arrive late, so I always have the worst spot, which is you have to literally be turned like this to see, and it really makes for a lot of neck pain. So they moved us to kind of a table, we were in the crowd, but kind of off to the side towards the back.
Yeah.
And it was really good. So we got to watch the whole show. And I sat out. I made sure to not go in the green room because I knew if I went in the green room, I would not listen, and I would just yammer away with Dan and Claire and Travis and Catherine. That was the gang backstage.
What a fun game.
Right? Aww. So I knew I was there's no way that's going to happen. So I'll just be too distracted. But it was a great show and such a great episode. So we really get to know Peter, and he has some a lot of really interesting insights into things. He's actually 2 years sober, very soon, officially 2 years.
Really cool thing to hear about.
Very interesting perspective. We went on rants about social media. Very honest rants.
Very honest. Yep.
Very honest. But it was great. I loved it.
Fun, yeah.
I loved it. It was such a good conversation. So yeah, it was a dang honor to talk to him. And like I said, he's a killer. And even when I talk to people who I consider killers, they mention his name. So
yeah.
This is a big deal that we had this guy in the podcast. So you got to check Peter Anthony out. If you do get a chance to see him on a show, please do. Follow him on Instagram. His handle is PeterIsFunny_IG. And he is at PeterIsFunny on Twitter. So please do follow him. And it's good to be back on the podcast. I wish I could tell you if I knew we were switching back to weekly or not, but I haven't decided yet. So
we don't know. We just don't know.
I'll say this. We have another episode recorded, and we hope we have a list of very attainable guests. So it could be switching back to weekly very, very soon. I'll admit that I like weekly more because it makes me less lazy. I slack too much when I have too much time.
That makes sense, yeah.
So hope to be back weekly very soon. Please leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, because that would really help us out and help us chart. Subscribe everywhere you find podcasts, including Spotify.
Yeah, we're on there too.
We're on there too, and no intentions of leaving Spotify like some podcasters are. No intentions. None. Not a one.
Not a one.
Lots of hot takes on that, but we'll get to that on another episode.
That could be a full episode.
It could, really, truly could be. I guess I'm deep down that rabbit hole of stuff, big time. But guys, we're gonna get to this week's episode. It's fucking awesome. You're gonna love it, so please enjoy this week's episode with the very funny, very smart, intelligent Peter Anthony.
It's absolutely insane that they're really trying to take him down. It's funny to watch.
Oh yeah.
It's like they're going after him so bad, and they're just going to be completely unsuccessful.
Yeah,
because he's literally doing what every single interviewer should do. Just talk to whomever, and then kind of try to understand and come up with ideas. He doesn't have an agenda. He's not alt-right or whatever they want to brand him as, because, I listen to a lot of his stuff, and I'll listen to Rogan, and I'll also listen to Michael Moore's podcast.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'll listen to Sam Harris, but then I'll also listen to someone on this side, or I like people that don't have sides, quote unquote. So I prefer that, but I mean, generally everyone has a side now, so you have to sort of listen to everything and then sort of make up your own mind.
Yeah, it just feels like he's like one of the only people who talks to different points of view, for the amount of time that he does too. Mm-hmm. So like all of the context around those like icky conversations, they're all there.
Yeah.
Like there's tons of footage of him going, I fucked up. I messed this up.
And he apologizes.
I'm an idiot. Like he admits to being an idiot.
As we all are. Like he's like, I'm not perfect. I'm going to say stuff. If you have podcasts that last 3 to 4 hours and you do them 3 times a week, you're going to say tons of things that you regret. Like it's just the way it goes, right?
I always joke. I'm like, I will know that I made it big when someone finds dirt on me, because I've said some shit on this podcast.
Yeah.
This podcast has been going for 5 years.
Right, I bet, yeah.
And when you're a small podcast, you can get away with a lot because you don't have a big listenership.
You're pretty good at like knowing when to cut stuff out, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you said,
there was
stuff,
a couple ones. Also... Yeah, especially with like, because this is like very much so like a Halifax comedy podcast. Mm-hmm. If it starts getting into the territory of like talking about certain individuals, I'm like, we should cut that because they're probably gonna listen.
Yeah. There's a level of professionalism you should probably
take, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
It. Okay, well, we're gonna get into it because we only have an hour with this wonderful guest, but I much appreciate his time. I'm so excited for this. Everybody, please welcome. I called him the man, the myth, the legend, Peter Anthony.
And I said,
but you turned that down real hard.
There's no myth and there's definitely no legend, but I will accept that I'm a man.
OG maritime comedian, could I say?
Yeah, one of those, I would say. Early. Not OG depending on which area you look at, but I started trying to do stand-up in the late 90s here in Halifax when there was no comedy club, no place to do it. I would ask bands to open for them. I had some buddies that were in a band and I would say, can I go on before you guys and try to do stand-up? So they'd let me do that. There was a sketch troupe called Birdie Num Num that played at a place called the Velvet Olive once a month. And I begged them to let me go on in front of them one night. I begged the casino to let me do a comedy night there one night. So I was kind of trying to put a career together piecemeal out here, which was impossible. So I ended up leaving, like I told you before we started recording. Yeah.
Holy smokes. I have 1,000 questions, but guys, it's Peter Anthony. He's here. Welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure.
I reached out randomly to you and I was like, do you want to do my weird podcast?
Sure. I like weirdness.
And you're at Yuck Yucks tonight, which is a comedy club here in Halifax. But so you started when there was nothing.
There
here.
wasn't. There was no.
That's wild.
There was no scene. There were people. Obviously, it's Nova Scotia, so one of every two people you meet is a performer of some kind. So there was people around who were comedic actors. 22 Minutes shot here, so that whole crew was here. There was people, that had sort of. The Bet Show was a thing. I don't know if you remember Bet McDonald. She had a sketch show.
Yeah. Okay.
So Tim Steves was out here, who I've become close friends with through the years, and just so there was things going on, but there was no stand-up scene at all. There was nothing, less than nothing.
So I gotta know then, what was it like? So you must have been heavily influenced by people you saw on like TV and stuff like that, right? That's kind of what sparked the interest. Like, were you always a funny kid?
Yeah, and
what made you be like, I'm going to do this here and I'm going to start it here?
Sure. So fan of comedy growing up, always interested in it. It was something that you don't even consider to be a possibility. Like show business, you don't even think about when you grew up in a place like Pictou, right? It's just not an option for a life. It's just something that happens out in the world and you watch it and like, I really enjoy this, but you're not thinking of a connection to it for a living. Oh. So then when I went to Acadia, I attended Acadia. I met some guys that were kind of like-minded. And one of these guys had a father that ran the local access station in New Glasgow. So he asked his dad if he could have a TV show that summer. So we developed a sketch comedy TV show that ran for 8 episodes on Bragg Communications, which then eventually turned into Eastlink.
Whoa!
Yeah, so we had our own show called 5 at the Door. And I was one of the 5. And then, of course, when that disbanded, I had no other access to performing. So I decided, well, I'll try stand-up because I'm on my own now. And that's around the time, late 90s, when I started fooling around the Halifax area.
Is this sketch show
it exists
anywhere to watch?
It exists on VHS somewhere.
VHS at some like Value Village somewhere.
Yeah.
Kicking around.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for that when I go thrift shopping tomorrow.
Yeah, you might find
love to see that. That's crazy.
The odd thing might pop up on YouTube from time to time, but it's sort of stuff we've buried from the past,
That's wild.
Yeah, and the guys I was with that I did it with have real careers now, so they don't want that stuff going onto YouTube. They don't want that out there. It could destroy their world. So
not in comedy careers. Like they're
not involved with comedy at all.
They do other things now. And they're like, let's put that to bed.
Yeah, they don't want that out there. And also just late 90s, different time. When you're creating like visual media, it's just we're doing stuff that would never fly now anyway. So
holy shit.
Yeah.
Wows.
And it was all dudes. We had no girls. You know what I mean?
No girls allowed.
It was just like 5 straight white dudes doing sketch comedy in the late 90s. Like, this stuff is not going to be enjoyed in the modern landscape.
Sounds lovely.
So it should stay buried on VHS in a box in my dad's basement. That's what I'm saying.
Have you ever gone back and watched it at all?
Sure. Oh, yeah. I've seen, I don't have a VCR anymore, but
you want one?
For the kids?
One.
Yeah, I'm shopping for VCRs, guys, later. So
I feel like we should explain what a VCR is for any kids listening. It's a
video cassette recorder.
Video cassette recorder, and you put in this big tape thing with film into it, and you can play and rewind and fast forward. But anytime you were done with a VHS, you always had to rewind it.
You had to be kind and rewind.
Yeah. Before returning it. I remember that was a thing.
The fact that kids now, if they want movies, they're clicking on their TV on Netflix. Yeah. Like we used to physically go to a giant store that was about 3,000 square feet, covered in VHS tapes on the walls, and select one to watch that evening.
I miss Blockbuster.
Yeah.
I miss. So place. I grew up in Antigonish. And there was
condolences.
Hell.
Yeah. It's a rival town of Pictou. You know that. Right?
I know. I was gonna say I need to bring this up somehow. The connection to because New Glasgow was like where we would go on weekends
to watch the movies.
To go to the movies and go to the mall and go to Swiss Chalet.
Oh wow.
Those 3 things.
Really.
Literally, like that would be what would be considered like a fun road trip for us.
And those are the only 3 things you can do in New Glasgow, by the way. That's it. Those are the 3. You got to hit them all if you're coming in from Antigonish.
Swiss Chalet and the Wendy's. I guess there was a while in Antigonish we didn't have a Wendy's. Actually, I don't know if we do have a Wendy's there.
Dangerous drive through Barney's River there. You got to be careful.
A lot of car crashes.
Yeah, bad
and like
highway.
Marshy Hope
Yeah, they're just twinning it now. Because I went to Cape Breton this summer and I saw they're twinning it finally. Cause I'm like, thank God.
Yeah.
Like it only took like 8,000 accidents before in Nova Scotia. We should twin that thing. All right, let's get to her.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of accidents happen there.
Yeah.
That's so funny. But I remember the video store in Antigonish was called Pioneer Video. And this was before Blockbuster came. Like, this was like a little video store. Yeah, floor to ceiling VHSs. There was one little corner room that was all porn.
Oh, sure.
And it had B curtains. You had to enter through the B curtains.
But you could see the person's shoes or sneakers that was in that
Yes.
were browsing. So later on, you might run into them downtown. You're like, I know that pervert.
I recognize your sneakers.
Yeah.
You're in church.
Yeah.
Like-
I saw your Brooks sneakers underneath the counter, underneath the curtain.
I saw your Nikes Air
at the
Force
video
Ones.
store.
You can't hide those.
Yeah. You rented Ass Blaster 7. I know those sneakers.
That's Blaster 7. Truly, that was such a time to like go and browse, and you do the whole process to watch something. And like nowadays, it's just it's not as good.
I
Not as good.
agree. I mean, that was part of the date. The dating a girl was going and picking the movie. That was part of the date, the selection of the movie. Sometimes it was the most interesting part of the date where you'd have these conversations. Do you like this? Do you like that? You get to know.
Find out what genres they like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What they've seen, what they haven't seen.
And then you generally what I would do, my move was like, I'll pick one, you pick one. You know what I mean? That was the go-to.
So then you have 3 hours of a date.
It's a 3-hour video session, which means you get the girl on the couch for 3 hours, which gives you a lot of time to make moves. That's a 3-hour window. You know what I mean? That's a good amount of time.
That is actually a good idea.
Usually at about minute 18, the blanket comes over into this. You know what I mean? Here comes the blanket.
The popcorn's in the crotch.
Yeah, it's all
Trick.
happening. It was a good time.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
So
the 90s, man. It was the best.
The 90s.
Pre-social media. We had the internet, but it was pre-social media. And the internet was even in its infancy, but it was still happening. It was exciting. Oh, this new thing is among us. So we can connect with anybody. But it was before social media, which kind of ruined the world,
Yes, it
so
did.
to speak. And relationships and dating and
Everything.
news and like it destroyed the human experience is what I'm saying. Social media. So, but before social media, the internet was very exciting.
Do you remember your first experience with dial-up? And so we had like a Commodore. Actually, no, the first computer we had was the Commodore 64.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Like that thing had these like really old school games on it. And I remember when we got the internet, we had the dial-up thing that
dial-up mode.
the sound that's forever entrenched in our minds.
I dream about that sound sometimes. I was like, I miss you. How
You miss that sound?
Sometimes.
It's like it sounded like a tiny monster being choked to
It was
death.
beautiful. It was so beautiful.
You know what I mean?
The fact is the world needs more. What's the word? We had to be patient to get those things back then. You had to develop a patience to wait for things like the internet. And kids don't have that now.
No,
We really don't.
I'd say the human brain. I would even say kids. I think the human brain has been completely changed because of social media and smartphones and our attention span. Our brains have been rewired basically because of these things. So it's just the way life is now. It's unfortunate. And we did it before we even thought about what the fallout or the outcome was going to be. So now we're just in the middle of an experiment and we don't know what the end game is yet. And the people that invented it don't even know. All they know is they've done some damage.
No idea.
It's like cigarettes, right?
Yep.
Like the people that invented cigarettes just started selling cigarettes.
Like,
Maybe they knew a little bit. Maybe they knew that cigarettes were it's probably bad to suck smoke inside your body. That's probably not going to be a good thing. So they're probably like, this probably isn't that going to be that good. But let's just sell them en masse, and they do it. And so you're in the middle of this experiment, and then of course decades later it comes out it's killing all our grandparents. So this is what's going to happen with social media too, and the phones. Probably in 15, 20 years, it's going to come out that we've done permanent brain damage to all of our ourselves. All of our emotions are messed up. Yeah. Like, so this stuff will come out, and then these companies will be sued, and bada boom, bada bing. Yeah,
it is truly insane. Like, there's rehabs for phone addiction.
Oh, for sure.
It's up there now with everything else. Like there's no doubt. Like I admit that I have a phone. Like I'm just attached to this thing.
Is it phone addiction or is it social media addiction though? Because you're not addicted to your phone. You're addicted to the scrolling and you're addicted to the
definitely social media.
To the endorphins that the scrolling gives you, right?
You're right. Like if this thing didn't have apps on it, I probably wouldn't be. I wouldn't be like playing solitaire on my phone.
If it was just the weather app, you wouldn't be like, oh, I can't get enough of what's going on in Fredericton.
I love looking at the weather.
Yeah.
just favorite.
Refreshing the weather. Like
I do that constantly. It's my favorite thing to do.
And it's just a bunch of horse shit too, because no one, hardly anyone is putting online like normal or bad stuff about themselves. So all you see is everyone else's highlights, and then you're comparing it to your behind the scenes, which is not fair.
Yeah.
So you have this false comparison of what a human life is like.
It's very, very toxic.
It's so damaging. It's damaging for me, and I'm a 44-year-old adult male.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine a 13, 14-year-old girl going through Instagram. Like that's completely going to destroy her life.
Influencers and all these models and be like, that's how I'm supposed to look like.
And
if
you think
life is supposed to be.
I would be keeping that away from my child like a gun. That's how dangerous that is. Yeah.
If you think about I'm going to be 35. So like my thing when I was a preteen teenager was more so, I would say like the media. So seeing Britney Spears with the flat stomach, stuff like that was very
magazines, 17 magazines.
That's when the comparison started. It was, you have to look like this to be considered beautiful. Social media, 10 times worse. Like I can't imagine being young now with Instagram.
Yeah. With celebrities, it's different because you're like, okay, well, they're doing something that's making them this way. Like, yes, I want to look that way because I want to be beautiful, but like you almost weren't jealous of their life because they were so much bigger than you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But now with like influencers and stuff like that, you're like, I could easily be like that. And it almost
I saw this person walking down the street.
Yeah.
There's a great are you a streamer? Do you stream stuff? Crave, Netflix, anything?
Yeah. Most of the above. Yep.
There's a series on Crave called Fake Famous.
Haven't seen it.
It is essentially, it takes people who are considered micro influencers, 1,000 followers, pieces of shit. Like they make them sound like they're these poor people with 1,000 to 2,000. Yeah.
Right.
It's just like, so funny. And they actually show them ways to do like fake pictures that will get them more followers. So like they took a toilet seat and put it like out the window to make it look like you're in an airplane traveling.
Oh my God.
Like stuff, like all these really fake ways to make it seem like you're so much cooler.
Ugh.
That's awful.
I haven't watched it yet, but I am fascinated to watch it because like it's literally actually an experiment. They're like, let's see if these fake pictures will actually make them famous.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just like I said, it's all just one big experiment that we're in the middle of, and we don't know what the outcome's going to be. Unfortunately, we're all subjects of the experiment.
We are.
And like I said, even the people that are running the experiment have no clue what they're doing. So it's just this snowball going downhill, and it's probably going to smash into a giant wall at some point.
More than likely.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's I would keep it away from kids. It's damaging.
Yeah.
It's damaging to grown men and grown women. It's damaging to everybody.
You see a baby with an iPad?
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah. My 2-year-old nephew went and swiped the television screen thinking it was an iPad. I'm just like, oh my God. He's only like when he was 2.5, he was trying to swipe the television screen. So it's just built into their brains now, right?
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Dangerous shit.
God, do I actually want to have a kid? I don't know. That's
a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast. Yeah. That actually, the social media talk ties in really nice to my assumption about you. Because I did do some creeping. You're only on Instagram, right? You're not on Facebook?
Instagram and Twitter.
Oh, I gotta find you on there. And I did see some fuck Instagram posts. So my assumption was that you hate social media, and I think I'm right.
The truth be told, I only got on Instagram when I moved to Halifax because that's the way all you guys communicate here. So all the when I first went to the mics in Halifax, I started to meet comedians from this scene, and I knew a few from before, just from that would come up to Toronto or whatever. They're like, "Oh yeah, man, you got to get on Instagram. That's how we book all the shows and how we do everything and how we communicate mostly." So I got on Instagram.
That's what. So I mostly.
That's how I'm on this podcast.
Yeah, that is true. That's the only place I could find you, though.
True.
So my thing is like Facebook Messenger is my thing for communicating with bookers and shit. But it's just all. Everyone has their platform.
Right.
I find communication to be taxing these days with people because you find someone, you want to communicate with them. Even with friends, I'm like, what platform are you most responsive on? Because everyone has their platform. Like my friend Vanessa just didn't respond to me for 5 days on Facebook Messenger. And I was just like, what way can I talk to you?
She just doesn't use Facebook Messenger? Is that
I guess it had like logged her out or something and she didn't know. And so she wasn't getting notifications. And I was just like, number one, I'm always checking Facebook Messenger. So like I would never not look at that app long enough to, do you know what I mean? Like I'm always looking at it. So it's just funny to me. But like what I told you coming in, not a lot of people phone or text. It's always either Facebook Messenger or Instagram DMs. That's probably about it, right?
I don't even know your phone number.
I don't know her phone number.
Yeah, the phone call's a lost art form. It really is. Yeah. And phone skills, by the way, are skills that work in real life because you have to conversate with people in real life to their face. So when you grow up, like in my generation, we grew up talking to girls on the phone, talking to friends on the phone a lot. When you called someone's house, someone else would answer the phone. So you'd have to talk to them before you talk to the person you wanted to call, got on the phone. So you were constantly having these conversations and communicating. Now kids have no idea how to communicate. It's honestly, it's like talking to a potato. Like, you ever try to talk to like a 13, 14-year-old kid?
Like, look at me. Look at me in my eyes.
You literally can't.
Yeah, it's a problem. Like I said, and it all goes back to what we just talked about. Get these kids, like, honestly, get them out, like, socializing and stuff, because it's crazy, man. Like, you gotta work at that stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And the phone conversation, I find, is one of my favorite things ever that I miss. I just miss talking to people on the phone.
You can call me anytime, man.
Do you know what? And I'll tell you something. Honestly. And because I'm one of these people. People appreciate getting phone calls now. Even if you have to text them first and say, hey, I'd love to talk to you just for 10, 20 minutes. Have a conversation. It worked, and it makes it. Guess what? When you have a conversation with somebody, you feel better because you actually did connect with them. So people need to talk to one another. It's a lost art form.
Dating apps now have voice prompts.
Oh, that's fun.
So
let's talk. Sort of
like Hinge will ask a question on a dating app, and men leave. Well, females might do it too. I feel like I'm swiping on straight men, so it's the only one I see. But they can leave voice messages on Hinge in response to certain questions.
Oh,
so you can actually hear
their voice.
Right. It's also really funny because it'll be like, prove that you're musically talented, and like you'll just hear them playing like a Dave Matthews song or something.
Oh no. Oh, that's not good.
Oh boy. It's really helping some guys, but really not helping other guys.
Yeah, especially if you go with Dave Matthews, like of all the people you could play. Oof.
Yeah.
Wow.
I came across, I'll play it right now, actually. I came across one recently.
That guy sounds like a donkey.
That had I would say like very high incel vibes to this. Phone. Yeah. Right? Where is it? Did I save it?
This is a message someone sent you on a dating app?
This is Hinge here.
Okay.
And I just screen recorded me looking at the profile. One of the prompts is "Don't hate me if I," and then he responded with "Unmatch you when you take too long to reply." Shrug emoji. And then this was his voice prompt, which said "A quick rant about." And I'll play it right now.
Sure.
Tell me if you think this man is worth swiping on.
Don't match with me if you're just going to waste my time. Like, what's the point in engaging me in conversation over a couple of days, making me think it's going to go somewhere just to up and ghost or unmatched. Like, it just makes you look like a piece of shit.
Wow.
So
he's got a little bit of a strong East Coast accent there too.
Somewhere.
Ghost. What are you going to do if you ghost me? She freaking ghosted me, boys.
when you posted that, Sarah, I thought it was for the podcast and I was very confused. I was like,
No.
what?
No, this is just, I'll screen record the ones I find funny. One guy, it was like, I'm an expert at, and it was just a long pause and he said, working. And it was just one word and working.
Expert at working.
Yeah. It's
interesting.
It's a strange world we live in right now.
That's a tough one, man.
I'm like a woman in her mid-30s. I just want to find someone to like have kids with, at this point.
Well, don't start with that now. Don't be posting that right away.
I just want to have your babies. Like, I don't know.
Ease up on that.
I know. Woof. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotta ease into that. Can't bring that up for a bit, eh?
Yeah.
How long do I wait till I bring that up with somebody? How many dates? Is the
3.
do I want kids question?
4.
4 dates? What do you think?
How long before you reveal that you would want children?
Yeah.
I mean, the majority of women do want children, so that's not a big reveal.
Not anymore, though.
Really?
Not anymore.
Well, I would
say, what do you think, Sarah? Like, I think the no kids thing is pretty high right now.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that don't want to have kids.
Number one, the world's going to shit, so no one wants to raise kids.
They have climate anxiety. Is that why? Or they're just
end of the world anxiety? Maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
What's the reason women don't want to have kids now?
I think it's the state of the world, but I also think women are far more independent and like career driven these days.
Yeah. I think it mostly has to do with like being career driven and just like not wanting to take care of another person.
That's what mat leaves for, though. If you're career driven, you can still have babies. You can do it all. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want.
By the way, the bell is I agree bell.
Yeah. I was wondering what that was. It's like my fries.
Like,
my fries are ready. But
ding, fries are done.
But no, I think women can do. You don't have to choose. Like, you don't have to say, "Oh, I'm going to have a career, therefore I'm not going to have babies." That shouldn't be how it works.
There we go. There we have it, folks.
Then again, I don't have to push humans out of my body, so
yeah.
Maybe it's one of those ones where I should shut my mouth about the whole deal.
I like that response though. You can have it both there's ways to make it work.
You can do anything you friggin' want to.
We can do it all.
Yeah.
We can do it all.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
More assumptions about you.
Just don't do it with that guy.
Oh no.
That we heard in the recording.
He sounds like he's a guy who would like go on a date with a girl and then get really mad if he didn't get a blowjob at the end of the night.
It felt like there was repressed anger.
Yeah.
Just the tone.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't get that. I don't know.
I didn't take screenshots of his pictures, but he had long hair.
Okay.
Long curly blonde hair. And there was one picture of him sitting on the back of a pickup truck in a purple velvet suit jacket.
Wow. So he's a wrestler? That sounds like a catch.
A farmer?
A wrestler with repressed anger. That's someone you want to introduce to mom right there.
Oh, that's so funny.
What was his name? Was it like Rick?
Spencer.
Oh, Spencer. Ugh.
Wow.
Spencer's an old man's name.
Really? I don't think so.
I only know Spencers that are like in their 80s and 90s.
More assumptions about you, though. So Sarah and I talked about this before you came over. So you hate social media. I was bang on with that.
I'm on it, but I hate it.
You're on it, but you hate, and you're kind of on it because you kind of have to.
Well, I feel
as a comedian.
I feel like. I mean, yeah, as a comedian and to communicate, I do like Twitter for news and financial news, especially. But I use them for certain functions like that. But I generally hate that this is what we've come to. That's how I feel about it.
It's pretty shitty
on an existential level. I hate it.
Yeah, it's the worst. The other assumption we had is that based on your history in comedy, you've been doing it 20 years. We both assumed that you would be a partier, but obviously not so much anymore, right?
Well, I was.
You were.
I was the last guy to leave every party I ever went to.
Were you really?
Yeah. And then March 2020 happened, and I got to the end of my rope with drinking at the same time that the pandemic started. So I've had this very strange experience where my sober date is March 15th, 2020.
Oh, stop.
Which is almost the exact date that all the shutdowns and lockdowns started. And everyone started wearing masks. And
it was the 13th of March, I think.
So I spent, the first portion of the pandemic home alone, speaking with a doctor through Skype to try to get sober and try to work through things like that and issues and try to figure out like what I was using alcohol so much for, and just to get through the general addiction as well. I consider myself an addict of a drug, and that drug was alcohol.
Which is one of the worst drugs that there is.
Yeah. So, I went from sort of what I would consider like party comic guy to pathetic drunk, really. And like, the thing is, for me, I was lucky because I've had bad experiences with alcohol and comedy, like on stage, drank too much, and I've had bad experiences that way, but it never like did that thing where it destroyed my career. Right. I wasn't someone that like drank and drove to get the gigs. I was very responsible that way. I never lost, I had a writing job. I never lost that job. I never had anything that would ultimately bring me to a point where I said, I have to stop this.
No, like rock bottoms.
Yeah. I never really had the quote unquote rock bottom. But for me, what happened was I just got to a place in my life where I didn't want to live anymore. And I certainly didn't want to live that way. So I got it. And that happened. Like it just came to a point at that same point in time, like I said, in March of 2020. And my whole life completely changed, as everyone else's has too, though, right? Like no one's the same as they were in the before times. But like I've had this like weird experience because I got sober. So I'm almost 2 years sober now. So it's been really strange, but your assumption that I was a party guy was correct, because I was, and I loved it, and I don't regret any of it. It just unfortunately took me to a point that wasn't fun for me anymore, so I had to stop.
But you know what? So many people don't.
Yeah, they don't, and they die.
They don't, and they die, and like that's the thing. They don't have that moment where they go, "I don't want to live. I'm not having fun anymore, so I need to stop." Well,
and it didn't. It became not fun. That's the thing. If I always say, like if you can do a drug, I don't care what drug it is. If you can do a drug continuously for long periods of time, and it doesn't lead to an addiction, and it doesn't lead to massive problems, keep doing that drug. That's incredible. Good for you. You figured it out. But people like me, unfortunately, can't do that. We just get brought to the end point, and it's like you have to make a decision. And the decision is, I keep doing this and I die, or I stop and I live and I try to figure something else out. So that's just what happened to me. Yeah.
What was it about specifically the lockdown that triggered that? Was Nothing. It like, was it being knowing that you were going to be kind of alone
Nothing.
In your home?
Nothing about it. It just happened at the same time.
Really?
It's a total coincidence.
That's so wild.
It's a total coincidence that I got to that end point at the same time that the pandemic started. Maybe if I'm some sort of, I want to look at this in some sort of strange, everything happens for a reason, bullshit type of
hippie woo woo.
Yeah, that kind of vibe. I could say that, I needed that time alone to figure stuff out. But what happened with me was, maybe it was luck. I know that sounds crazy, but maybe the fact that when I got to that point, I couldn't go out to a bar because no bars were open. I couldn't go drink after shows because no shows were happening. There were no house parties. So if I really, really wanted to continue drinking, it was going to happen in my house by myself to the point where I probably wouldn't have lived through the pandemic. Do you know what I mean? So here I am sitting here now, like almost 2 years sober. Maybe I wouldn't be here if I continued to drink, and because I would have been drinking alone, and God knows what would have happened to me. Heavy, right?
Congratulations, though.
Thanks. Cheers.
So I would like to know. So you made the choice, but you didn't just stay away from booze. You said that you were on the phone with doctors. Like, did you do therapy at that time at all, or anything else that helped?
I had a doctor specifically who was an addictions doctor. So he helped people one-on-one he normally worked with heroin addicts.
No way.
Yeah. And so, but I mean, it's all this, you apply all the same steps. Right. Not that I never did a 12-step program. Not that there's anything wrong with doing a 12-step program, but you apply all the same, I'll say it, habits and routines to get over one drug that you would another. So you just apply it to alcohol. So, and he was an amazing doctor, and he sort of opened my eyes to some things that no other person that I ever talked to in terms of therapist or psychologist showed me, just because he had worked with so many different addicts.
He's seen it all.
Well, and because to me, it wasn't about, like, I told him, like, I'm not coming to you to seek happiness. I'm not coming to you to sort of try to put some sort of puzzle together about my life. I'm coming to you to try to stop using this fucking drug. And so that was our goal. So we never tried to, like, sure, we talked about my past and my upbringing and my emotional makeup and my relationships with people and all, and career and all that stuff. But it was we only talked about it to service not using that drug. That was it. That was the goal.
Focused and specific.
Totally 100% focused on not putting booze in my mouth. That was it. That's all I worked on.
It's almost
that
like a
minute.
survival thing.
It was really cool. It was a great experience. Best doctor I ever worked with. And you know what? It worked for me. It, like, so far.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm almost 2 years, like I said. I don't know if I'll ever drink again. I probably would guess that I won't, but all I know is, like, I'm not today. That's it.
Well, the thing is, you've now spent 2 years with yourself without it.
Right.
So you've learned to enjoy life without this substance.
Yeah, I've learned to enjoy life would be a stretch. I've learned to exist.
Right.
Without this substance.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, to say that I enjoy life at this moment in time. I mean, there's certain things in my life right now that are amazing, but, like, we're living in a fucking pandemic.
Yes,
it's shit for everybody. It's garbage. This is garbage world. Hello.
Gosh, thank you for being honest.
So look,
true.
I mean, but look, even though we live in garbage world, that shouldn't give you an excuse to say, well, I'm going to escape garbage world by using some drug that's going to kill me eventually, right? So for me, it was, this is going to be terrible, but it's going to be an ending kind of terrible if I keep using. So I stopped. Yeah.
Wow. Did you ever lose anyone close to you to alcohol?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
oof.
Mm-hmm.
Ow, my heart.
Mm-hmm.
No, I just think because, like, Andrew Vaughn.
Yeah.
Died March 2020, that fucking month and year that changed us all. And he was someone who definitely, he was on the up and up in terms of taking care of himself. But, like, when he died, it was shocking because he was so young. He was 36. But people went, well, he didn't take care of himself. So it kind of makes sense that he died. It's still really shocking and unexpected, but he did not take care of himself. And that, for me, and I think a lot of his friends, made people go, like, we got to have our health. If we don't have our health, what the fuck do we have? Do you know what I mean? Like,
not much.
We got exactly, right?
Yeah, not much. And you also just, if you don't have that, you don't have the building blocks to do anything that you would want to do anyway, right?
Exactly. The mental clarity and shit.
Yeah. It's too bad. Like, I knew Andrew only a little bit. We did some shows together. I didn't know him super well, but you know, it's true. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, if you, like, we're not guaranteed a long life. No one is. But if you don't take care of yourself, you can certainly shorten it a lot longer than it normally would be if you did the right things, right? And I'm the first guy to say, like, go out and drink, go out and party, do blow, try heroin. I don't care. Just don't do it all the time and get addicted.
Yeah.
Like, don't, and if you love food, go to McDonald's. Just don't go fucking 3 times a week. If you like ice cream,
don't get a habit
eat
of
it. Just don't eat it every night. You know, like, so, and, like, that's another thing too. Like, I started to get weirdly addicted to ice cream. That's a whole other story when I got sober. Yeah. But I needed, like, sugar. I needed, like, something. Yeah. So then it's like you start to understand, like, oh, these are, like, comfort things. So you start to
soothing yourself.
Yeah. You start to associate substances and things with comfort, and you start to see what the psychological ties are. So you could probably use the same skills to quit alcohol you could use to quit ice cream too, right? So
it's so true.
Yeah.
Do you think that some people just have an addictive personality? Like, you hear that phrase all the time. I don't, or I do have an addictive personality. Like,
sorry to cut you off. There's certain aspects of it that are hereditary.
Yeah.
But for me, any person alive that has the biological makeup of a human being that uses an addictive substance often will get addicted to it. So that's why I always say, like, be very careful about the frequency of the drug of your choice that you use it. Be really careful of that, because the more you use it, the more likely you're going to become addicted to it. And not even likely, you're almost guaranteed to become addicted to it, because it's an addictive substance and you're a biological human. So It's just going to happen.
truth. I think of, honestly, like weed. I feel like a lot of people do smoke weed every single day and need it to get through their day. And yet they go, I'm not addicted to it though.
They might be habitually addicted to it. Maybe it's not a physical addiction, but it's like,
the habit.
Like every morning I get up, one of the first things I do after I brush my teeth and sort of get myself together is I have coffee, right?
Right. It's your ritual.
Every single day of my life. Does that mean I'm addicted to coffee? Do you know what I mean? Or is it a habitual thing? Because if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't feel right. I would probably feel agitated. I'd probably feel like, oh, I want that. I want that thing that I do. Where's that thing? I'm getting mad. I feel annoyed, you know? That's how it feels to be an addict. When the thing you want is taken away from you, you feel agitated. Sometimes you get sick, you get angry. You feel like something's been taken away from you. These are like the hallmarks of addiction, right? So some people are addicted, we said, to their phones. If you take the kid's phone away, who's 15 or 16, they start freaking losing their minds.
Their
right?
head will just explode. Yeah.
They're having tantrums because they're addicted to it.
Yeah. It's something in their routine, their daily life that's been thrown off. And they go, I don't know how to exist without this.
Sure.
I don't know how to be without this thing. Or I'm not my best self without this thing.
Sure. So I had to relearn, in my experience, I had to relearn how to live a human life without alcohol in it.
Was that challenge? Like, was it challenging? What was the biggest challenge with that? Because I with comedy, so much of comedy is that post-show hangout, have some drinks after the show. So was that challenging for you, like getting back into comedy and like having to navigate the soberness?
It was, because I did associate comedy with what you just said. So I had
so much of it.
I just had to remove that other part. So the comedy to me now just has to be about the comedy, the writing, the performing. I can see people and say hello, but I got to go home. So I just have to leave because I'm not, that other part of it isn't part of my life anymore. Doesn't mean I don't like comics or like hanging around or talking to people. I just can't do that anymore because that's not part of my life anymore. The part that now is replaced by me going for a walk or going home or watching a show or watching a movie or working on something or playing guitar. Like, so that part of my life, I have to respect that part of my life is now over. Doesn't mean like on occasion I might hang out. You know what I mean? I might go to a party and hang out and stuff. I've gone to several parties, like not a lot because it's COVID, but in those rare times that they said things are open again, I've gone to parties. Like I've been to a house party, I've been to a bar, I've been, restaurants and stuff. I'll hang out. I just don't drink, and I'm usually the first to go as opposed to the last to go now. So that's sort of changed. So it's just weird little adjustments like that, and I'm trying to get used to it, but it's difficult. Like I can imagine, yeah, because
it is so much of the culture of, and it's so much of why a lot of comics enjoy comedy is that community aspect and like feeling like you connect with a group of people. And unfortunately, especially in Halifax, just so much of hanging out in Halifax involves a fucking drink.
Yeah.
And I don't even like, I'm not a sober person and I'm not a big drinker. I'm kind of just in between. But I hate that. I hate that everything is, you want to grab a drink? You want to get a drink?
Say yes. Say yes, but then don't make the drink non-alcoholic. Because like I still do that. I'm like, sure, I'd love to meet you for a drink, but it's going to be a Diet Coke or something,
right?
But because it's like
still a drink.
If that person only wants to share time with me on the assumption that I'm going to pour poison into my face, then that person isn't someone I want to hang out with anyway,
isn't
right?
Meant to be a friend.
Like I don't give a fuck what you pour in your face. So why should you care about what I pour in my face? That's how I look at it. And if someone does care, then I don't want to hang out with them.
Yeah. Did you have to cut out a lot of people when this happened that you kind of realized like they're not the right people for me?
I was lucky because most of my friends knew I had a bad issue anyway and were kind of waiting for me to get sober.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then to be entirely honest with you, that's how I picked friends anyway. I didn't pick friends based on alcohol. So no, I didn't lose. I was one of the lucky ones where I didn't lose a lot of close friends. I lost a lot of close friends because I moved away from Toronto. I moved from Toronto to Halifax. But I didn't lose them. They're just not, you know what I mean?
They're not physically with you.
They're not physically
around
me anymore.
You can't call them up and hang out. Yeah.
So that's been more difficult. The move from Toronto to Halifax has been more difficult in terms of friends not in my life than say quitting alcohol was. Yeah. Man. Yeah. So there's all kinds of these adjustments that are going on all the time, I feel like now. So I'm just kind of relearning a bunch of stuff.
But good for you. That's What a fucking decision to make, to be like, I'm committing to this and I'm still gonna, you might fuck up from time to time, like, but you're gonna learn from it, you know? Like,
it wasn't really much of a choice. It was literally like if you're at a fork in the road, it's like, do you see that black hole over there? So you can walk into that hole or go down this road where you can see the horizon. That was my choice.
That bad. Yeah,
yes, that was my choice. It was that bad. Yeah.
But still, yeah, holy.
It really didn't. There was no choice. I mean, there was a little bit of a choice, but it was life or death.
A lot of people don't take the choice where you have to go to the horizon. A lot of people are like, I'm just going to go in this black hole. So
what's at the bottom of this hole though? There might be something down that hole that's fun.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think people, especially people who might suffer from like really low self-esteem or depression, like they might go, I don't deserve to be happy.
Right. Or it's the other thing is like, I know the road with the hole. So I'm on that. I'm familiar with that road. I know the whole road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like roads with holes. Like
that's my comfort zone.
Yeah. I like that road. And this road, there's like flowers down there. I can see. What are those?
Flowers. Never seen flowers.
You know what I mean? So it's difficult to walk down a different path. It really is. It's hard. It's like hard to, you know, I equate it to moving to a new city. It's scary because but I mean, if you move to a new city, what do you got to do? Well, you got to do the same shit that you did in your old city. You got to buy a couch. You got to buy dishes. You got to set up a life. You got to learn the neighborhood. You got to figure out where you want to get pizza. You got to figure out.
You relearn everything.
Yeah. And it doesn't take that much time. You know what I mean? And like I always say, if I had one piece of advice that I could give to anyone that would be younger, that's a comedian, that's like maybe listening to this, would be, if you don't have anything and you're young, don't have anything in like New York. Just go there and don't have anything there and start your life there, because you don't have anything. So just don't have anything in a cooler place where you can where you can build up a life there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting too, because you're from Pictou, you went to Acadia, and then so you spent some time in Alberta.
I did Calgary, yeah.
And then you spent a good chunk of your time in Toronto.
18 years in Toronto, yeah.
So I'm curious to know, I mean, and now you're back in Halifax.
Yes. So
I feel like you've seen an array of types of comedy scenes, whether that's non-existent to small to, I would say Halifax is a small scene.
It's very
or
small.
Medium-sized. Yeah, small. And then Toronto would be big, right?
Huge.
So like, what do you prefer? Because I've only ever experienced Halifax, so I have no sweet clue what it looks like out there.
What I prefer is huge in terms of a comedy scene.
Yeah.
But what you're asking me, if what I prefer for a human life, then it's a different answer. That's why I'm here.
Right. You're back on the East Coast.
Yeah. So I moved here not for reasons of my professional life. I moved here for personal reasons, right?
Oh, okay.
So I have to separate those two and respect that. Like I have to accept that I have to be part of a smaller comedy scene. I have to accept that there's going to be less opportunity. I have to accept that there's going to be probably less opportunity to even get on a mic. You know what I mean? But I'll tell you, I've been like pleasantly surprised since I moved here. I've met tons of great comics, hardworking comics, funny people, great writers. I remember like texting my buddies in Toronto going, this is cool here. Like there's a scene, like I didn't know. Right. Like, and so I've been getting out there and like hitting rooms and stuff and meeting people. And I've been pleasantly surprised because I didn't think I could pursue it as much as I have since I moved here at all when I came back. So this is pretty cool because I was like, it's going to be way on the back burner for me, but it's not as much as I thought.
It's pleasantly surprising.
Yeah. And then I also came to the conclusion, like, it doesn't matter where you are, it's what you're doing too. Like I feel like as much as, you know, as a younger person, say when I left here and I went to Calgary, sure, maybe I should have went to New York if I wanted to do stand up. You know what I mean? In hindsight, that would have been the wisest decision, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And now I just think, you know, with the tools we have, you can kind of make a go at it if you're trying to make or create something, no matter where you are. So I keep focusing on that too. Like I have aspirations to do some TV and film stuff. Oh, yeah. I have ideas about things I want to do. I can do them here. I can. It's just going to be a little bit difficult and a different way to do them here.
A different way.
But you can.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible.
I always say, like, just hard work and drive goes a long fucking way.
Yeah, and you just got to surround yourself with the right people.
Got to surround yourself with the right people and just be consistent and work hard, and it can be done. I'm glad that you're liking Halifax though. Like that's that's awesome.
I'm Nova Scotian, right?
Yeah.
So like, and it's hard to describe what it's like to be a Nova Scotian too. Like it's such a specific place.
It is.
Like everything from like everything we are is Nova Scotian. I know that sounds bizarre, but it's just you don't really understand it till I didn't get it till I left. I mean, there's elements about Nova Scotia that drive me up the wall, that drive me insane. But it's like, that's just the way it is. And you're just like, what are you going to do? But
we just accept it. This is just our world, you know?
Yeah. But I mean, the people here are great. I think like this scene and this city is going to be growing more and more and more, which is also exciting. Because I feel like in Toronto, the scene I just left, as huge as it is, it felt toppy. It felt very toppy to me. It felt like it's something that topped out, and you see that happen with different cities with different scenes, and you'll see pockets pop up. Like Austin, Texas is one that's popping up now.
Yes.
So to say, like, LA's toppy now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Vancouver toppy.
So what do you mean by toppy?
Well, just it happens that scenes ebb and flow, right? You have
it's reached all it can do.
Of that particular moment can peak, and then it needs to reset and come down. And usually when that happens, you'll see another market pick up.
So true.
Like the Boston scene in America was this sort of movement that brought along a lot of stand-ups to like just that became really, really good, really, really fast in the 90s. You know what I mean?
Oh, interesting.
And you would think like, why would Boston have all these great comics? Well, it was just because the scene was really good. That's what's happening in Austin right now, right? So like you'll see that happen. And I think, honestly, and I know I'm biased, but I think that's happening here in Halifax.
It's really popping off. I mean, it was also like fucking 2020 again. Like we had the summer 2020 when comedy started coming back that summer. It just exploded with different rooms because people were so hungry for it. We all missed it so much that we were like, well, we got to make shit happen now. And so people like Durham and Matt Baker all kind of started these rooms. Like there was a show up, go up for a while in the summer of 2020 that was every Thursday. And one of the show up, go ups, there was 25 comics on that show.
Wow.
Which is a lot for Halifax. Maybe not Toronto, but for Halifax, it was a lot. But like, it really kind of set things in motion for Halifax to be really a city that has comedy every night of the week.
Yeah, and I see that too. And a lot of the rooms are really good. Like I can honestly say this, like half of the rooms I would go to try out material in Toronto, it just was, you wouldn't get a good read because it would be mostly comics.
Yeah, right.
And the people in Toronto they're just exposed to so much, right? So they've been exposed to so much stuff that to go out on a Tuesday, say, try a bunch of material, and then to try to bring that to a club on the weekend, you're not going to get a really good read in those kind of rooms just because of the way they were set up. Too many comics, people didn't give a shit. But here, I find these rooms that have been set up.
Yeah.
Like I just did District 5 the other night.
Yeah.
Like a really good room. And I got really good reads on a couple new things. Barely's has turned into like a really good room. I did the Oasis, which is also a really good room to get a read on. Yeah. Although like it's a real dive, that place. Like it's
yes.
Like I was saying, like when I went back and I did it, I was like, oh my God, like this is not this. I watched WrestleMania 4 in here. It hasn't changed. Like this is crazy. The urinal's the same. Like what happened? What is going on?
It really is. It really hasn't changed.
Yeah, it's a total, it's a piece of shit place, but you can get a good read on the comedy night there.
Yes.
And I think I'm trying to think of it. On Monday at Gus's.
Gus's, yeah. My favorite place.
Gus's is tough. It's a tough room.
Oh boy.
But you can get a feel, right? That's all I'm saying. If you want to get a feel for stand up, these are good rooms to do it in. You'll get it feels what it really should feel like to do stand up. Yeah. And a lot of rooms in Toronto, and I'm sure there's some here, what you don't want is a cliquey feeling. You don't want to feel like you're there just with your friends and your pals, and you're there just like, blowing smoke up each other's ass and patting each other on the back. That's not what this is. That's not how you're going to get a feel or improve as a comedian.
Thank you.
You really need to get into these rooms that will feel like honest. And those rooms I just mentioned are great rooms. And the new club on Argyle Street, same thing. That's a great comedy club. And
isn't it awesome?
And I'm telling you that if that club post COVID is packed and taken care of properly, which it already is being, but obviously in a COVID environment, it's tough to really get it rolling. Yeah. But when that gets rolling, that's going to be one of the best comedy clubs in this country. I'm dead serious.
Woo! Ding that bell for me.
Boom.
I had my podcast live show there right before the world went to shit, and it was truly like so magical. It's just, I really do think that shows, especially comedy, needs to be underground. There's something about going underground, literally, like you're going down the stairs. Like it feels like a different world because like you're literally underground.
I tend to agree. It's like jazz, right? If you go to a jazz club, you want it to be a little dingy,
dark.
Yeah.
I doing comedy in broad daylight, to me, it just feels weird.
I agree. Or outside. It's terrible.
Outside.
Yeah.
We had the.
You don't want to perform in a fucking gazebo, you know?
Were you around
at a yacht
for the
club once? And it was not fun.
Oh yeah,
I was like, ugh,
the
God,
boat club.
get me
That's
outta here.
right. Were you around in the summer for the shows on the Commons?
They were happening. I just never took. I just don't. For me, like I just don't have a desire to do that. I don't see the point.
It's strange.
And I'm not trying to piss on anyone's parade. If you want to go out there and hit those, and maybe it's good. Maybe people had fun times doing it. But for me, what I like, it's like that's why I don't do comedy on Zoom. Because for me, what I like and how I feel about what this should be, that's not part of it. For me. And anyone that's doing it on Zoom, and there's some guys that are doing it very successfully, friends of mine even. Yeah. Good for them. I just can't do it. I don't know why. I just can't
feels
do
like there's something about actually doing it on a stage in a place that's set up for a show it's almost like more respectful to the art. If that makes sense, like because you're bringing people in who know what they're getting into. I guess Zoom. I've watched a couple virtual comedy shows, and it's bizarre to watch. It's strange. You'll notice like so many people just turn off their cameras because they feel weird. It's weird for someone to see your reaction while you're like on the couch at home, and you know what I mean, in your pajamas.
Well, look, it's hard to feel connected when I'm talking to my mom on FaceTime. Yeah. And that's my mom. And yet I have there's this weird divide. Like, what is like this? It's just like a bunch of strangers that I don't know on a Zoom. I'm like, it's not even a
bunch of names and squares on a screen.
You can do it. You can set up the show. You can, do Bell Canada's Christmas party on Zoom, and they'll give you a couple grand or whatever. And there's 40 people on your screen. You can do the 45 minutes and get through it, but no one's having a good time.
No.
And even if they say they are, they're lying through their fucking teeth.
It's so strange.
It's very strange, and it's terrible, and it should stop.
Yes, I have to agree.
But it won't stop because there's money. Like people, if honestly, if it's the pandemic and you get a phone call from your agent and you're not making any money that month, and they say this there's $500 for a Zoom show, you're going to say yes because that's the way it is, right?
Because you got to pay the bills.
That's the way it is. I was in a very fortunate position because I had a writing job before I left Toronto that I didn't have to do any Zoom shows. So maybe I should shut my mouth on the whole topic because I can't. But I can't. I can't fault anyone for wanting to do it because they need the cash. But just at least admit that it hurts your fucking soul it's ripping you apart, and you're doing it for $500. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's destroying who you are as a man, or as a lady, or as a person. It's destroying you inside. You'll never be the same, but you got the $500.
It's the call center job of comedy shows.
It's even worse than that.
Soul sucking.
Yeah.
Soul sucking.
Yeah.
I have a "What's Wrong with You" segment. I don't know. Did you want to tackle that? Is there anything that are you someone with depression? Do you have I think we all have mental illness at this point.
What's your trauma?
What's your trauma? No, but we talked with the sober journey and stuff like that. So I imagine a lot of self-reflection came into play with that. Did you discover anything about yourself?
I think that applies. Like, what's wrong with you would be, we covered a lot of stuff.
I feel like we kind of covered it.
But I have had, I have and do have anxiety issues.
There it is. Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of what I went through in the past 2 years has helped a lot with that, and not drinking has helped with that, and adjusting my diet has helped with that, and working out has helped with that, and being honest with myself has helped with that, and honest with other people has helped with that.
Fuck yeah.
So like a lot of the stuff that I needed to get through to stop drinking that's been like an effect that I didn't even know would happen. I mean, I obviously knew that drinking was not good for my mental makeup, but just a lot of other stuff just started to click anyway. So that's helped as well.
Question for you about the anxiety thing, because anxiety is one of those ones that I go, it's so different in everybody. Yeah. So Sarah is very open about having anxiety. I got diagnosed randomly with generalized anxiety disorder when I was getting diagnosed for ADHD.
Though, was it random?
I had never saw myself as an anxious person, but when I went through this 2-hour assessment, they were like, yeah, you have generalized anxiety. But I was never socially anxious. I'm not a germaphobe. Like, my anxiety comes from, I think I'm going to get hit by a car when I walk outside. I catastrophize. Like,
does it stop you from walking?
No.
Then, you know what I mean? Then good.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So how did
then it's not so bad, Sarah.
I know.
But if it stops you from going outside and walking, then we're on a whole other level, right?
Exactly. That's why I never thought I had it, right? Because it was never something that was like stifling in my life, so to speak. So how did anxiety manifest for you? Like, what did that look like? Was it social, or what was it? Overthinking, or? Yeah,
mine was the best way to put it was acute. So it was like it happened with panic attacks.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah. So when I had my first one when I was 19, and then I had a lot when I was 20 and 21, and I hid it. That was the worst thing I could have done. Right. I hid it from family, friends, and girlfriends and everything. So I was the classic, like, suffered alone guy. You know what I mean?
Suffer in silence.
Suffer in silence. I was that guy.
But so many people, especially men too.
Yeah. But I had a complete nervous breakdown when I was 21. And my dad, who's a doctor here in Halifax, just recently retired, got me some help. And so I kind of got through that portion. And then that revisited me when I was 31.
Shit.
Yeah, and I needed to have more help then. And then I went on medication, which I took up till I was about 39.
Okay.
And then I self-medicated from 39 to 42 with alcohol, like we talked about, as that became more prominent in my life. And then since then I don't take any medication or anything anymore. No.
Well, but you know what? I hear that that's good. Because when I got medicated, I was very excited. And I had a lot of people around me saying, it's not permanent. You know, you're on this thing temporarily to get your brain in order so that you can eventually not be on it. So when I hear that people were on things, but now they're not, and like they're good, like that's very hopeful for me, because that's where I'm just a couple months into mine for the first time.
I have no problem, like, if I needed to go back on medication, I would. I have no problem with that. I just don't need it right now.
You just don't need it right now. That's good.
Yeah, and so, I mean, who knows what life will, has in store for me ahead. And if something happens and I can't deal, like I don't want to leave my house, I'll take it again.
Right.
So that's fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with medication.
No, there isn't.
Absolutely. And I mean, to be honest with you now, there's even like a whole bunch of stuff going on with different kinds of medication. So you're going to see like psilocybin therapy and microdosing and those kind of things are coming into play.
MDMA therapy.
All kinds of stuff. And so like, I mean, there's going to be better treatments moving forward than the stuff I had been on the decade previous.
Right.
So, I mean, like, who wants to, like, if you suffer from anxiety or depression and you take a pill and all of a sudden you can't come, I can't think of anything more depressing than that.
No,
so like, I'm talking like we're gonna get good, better treatments moving forward. So if anyone's on something, don't ever feel bad about taking something ever. Like, you wouldn't feel bad about taking insulin if you were diabetic. It's the exact same thing.
Yes.
And if someone said, "Hey, your diabetes is cured, you don't have to take insulin anymore," awesome. But you know what? Some people have to take it for the rest of their lives, or whatever ailment and whatever medication. You see the analogy I'm trying to make here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I kudos to you for you know what I mean, getting the help you need.
It's funny what you say about the cum thing, because the one that I'm on doesn't affect sex drive things, but it is actually used to treat
depression and anxiety kind of at the same time. But my side effects that I got from it were the worst anxiety attacks that I've ever had in my life. For a week straight, I had it actually increases your anxiety at first.
Yeah, I know. And then
right. Yeah. And I was literally, I have never felt so like, I think I'm gonna die. I think I'm having a heart attack. Like it was a week straight. 2 weeks
to level out, like a couple weeks.
Yeah, and now I feel great. Now I feel if I accidentally forget to take it, I feel less energetic. Like I actually notice the positive effects of it now. But that week was like, I was just like, this is supposed to treat anxiety, not cause it. What the fuck?
Yeah.
It's very strange experience.
For a lot of people too, that especially for people that are so crippled with anxiety or depression that they can't get off their couch or out of their bed, all of a sudden they take a drug that gives them the energy to get up out of bed. And maybe they're not, that's why some of them just actually go through like a suicide attempt or a suicide, because all of a sudden they're able to get up but it's not like the pill magically solves any problems you have.
And so that's the thing too. Lifestyle.
You gotta be patient. You gotta have people around you that helps you get through that like period of time. Like you said, like the first couple of weeks or whatever. The other thing I'll say that helped me so much when I was 21 was diving into like educating myself about what anxiety is and what depression is, the origins of it, the hormones that are happening in your body. Yeah. What happens when you feel fear? What happens when you feel worry or depression or sadness? What's actually physically going on in your body? And then learning about emotions, about how to experience emotions without being the emotion. Learning how to watch yourself as an emotional being, but don't become the emotion you're experiencing, because you're like
a third party viewing it.
Of course. Like they all pass, right? So no matter what emotion you're experiencing, I can tell you one thing that's guaranteed. It's going to pass. It goes away. So if you're in the middle of a panic attack and it feels like your world is crashing in on you.
Feels like you're going to die. Yeah.
It's going to go away. It might take 2 minutes. It might take 2 hours, but it's going to go away. Same thing as if you're experiencing a level of euphoria and happiness.
It's going to go away.
I'm on top of the world. I'm the best. Guess what? In 3 minutes, it's going to go away. You're going to feel normal again.
Isn't that?
So yet we give all this weight to negative emotions and we focus on these positive emotions. Like it's all shit. It's all going away. All of these emotions are going away. I don't care how you're feeling. So what's at the core of you? What's at the center of you? And focus on that and move from there. That's how I dealt with it.
Whew.
Yeah.
God damn. I have to wrap because I have to let you go, which sucks because I've been enjoying this so much.
Turned into like a psychology podcast as opposed to a comedy podcast.
That's what I geek out over. I love diving into, especially people that you see in a performance be so fucking funny and performative, and then sitting down and talking to them and like learning these things about people. I find is like so fascinating. So I really thank you for coming on. If you do have a rant, we might have time for a quick rant. If you have a quick, is there anything that's bugging you right now that you want to get off your chest?
The only thing like I thought that I'd rant about is like a thing that I often it's billionaires. I just hate billionaires so much. Yeah. I hate the fact that we created a society where billionaires can even exist. Yeah. Like it's just such an obvious sign of failure. Yeah.
They can just go to space.
We've messed up if someone can have this much money of the pool of human money we have, and then one person has this much. Makes absolutely no sense. And I'm not one to advocate pulling these billionaires to the town square and cutting their heads off.
Right.
Like I'm not going to be the one who drags them to the square. I'll be in the crowd. I'll be watching,
You care enough to go watch.
I'll cheer.
But not to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That was my little rant.
I agree. It's the allocation of wealth is pretty fucked.
Oh, it's crazy. And it's like we're at the peak too. Like how much crazier can it get? So we're just like, okay, what's going to happen now? Like if a single man can have $200 billion, this makes no sense. Like, so what happens from here? The wealth inequality is worse than during the French Revolution, and that is when they literally cut people's heads off. So, this could be a fun sequel. And look, hey, I'd love to come back if you ever want to talk about like the comedy scene and comedy experiences in the comedy business. I'd love to come back and do that too. But today we got off track and talked about our emotional makeup and addictions. But
you don't know how much I loved that. You're definitely coming back for sure. I want to have you back on, and if you want to come on with somebody else too, let me know. Because this was excellent, and like I learned so much about you that I didn't know. And congratulations on 2 years,
almost 2 years. That's right.
That'll be March 15th. That's coming up. You're like a little over a month away.
The Ides of March.
Are you gonna do something special for your 2-year
ice cream?
Sober. What kind?
Lots of it. Probably Haagen-Dazs chocolate peanut butter. That's my go-to.
Oh, nice one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, you deserve it. And good work. And like, thank you so much for doing this. This was excellent.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
He's going to be killing it at Yuck Yucks tonight. But I know we hate social media. Is there anywhere the listeners can find you? Twitter, Instagram?
Peter's funny. Peter's funny. You'll find me.
It's just so funny to
Peter's funny.
rant with social media and then be like, plug your shit.
Yeah.
Follow him. Give him the follow. But yeah, follow this guy. If you ever get the chance to see him live, please do it because you're fucking hilarious and very smart. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Sarah. Appreciate it.
We're done. We did it. 6:30, baby. Look at that.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's perfect.
Look at that. I'm
Thank you for listening to the Intoxicated Podcast. If you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure you subscribe on whatever podcast app you use and leave a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. You can also give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Intoxicated Podcast and check out our video episodes on the Intoxicated YouTube channel. Until next week, feel hard and talk hard. Intoxicated Podcast is hosted and produced by Sarah McClellan, co-produced by Sarah Nicole, and brought to you by the messiness of life.
Oh, everybody's depressed. Next subject.